Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 54, I think, of the Monday weekend wrap up. It is the HAG era. Yes, Alveda, welcome. Alveda, what is it? Alveda, welcome in, everyone. Welcome, Milo. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Cultured, how you doing, man?
Good, thank you. Yeah, very good. Early morning. Well, not early morning. Morning. It's a morning, and I don't do mornings. So,
what time is it? Let me guess. Hold on. It is. You are. It is. 8. We have a difference of 8 hours. That's not my understanding, right?
It's 8 hours to the UK. I don't know what it is to you guys. What is it now for you? I can tell you on my phone.
It is 6:33 p.m.
It's 6:34. Yeah, for you. It's at 10:30 for me. 10:34. So it's not early.
Okay, it's not super early. You're 8 hours behind us in time.
Right. So I'm smack in the middle of you and the UK.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's 8 hours each. Like we could, tripod. We're like a tripod. If we had someone in England.
Yeah, if only.
Guys, this is a very special occasion on the show because the first piece of silverware has been lifted by a certain Manchester United. I don't know if you guys are aware, but this is a momentous occasion.
I love how you make it sound like it was the first piece of silverware lifted ever in the history of the world. Okay.
Well, it might be. Because this is like the Prezohoric era and the Pre-Zoganish era and the Maleopethic era and the Paleolithic era. These era where the dinosaurs were living, and then there were dragons, and then there was Jon Snow, all these different things. And now we are in a new era. It is called the HAG era. It's like a new version of life almost. It's like everything is new. There's AI. We are at the forefront of the AI era, which is indirectly known as the HAG era. HAG might be a product of AI. Let's be honest. This guy is literally almost like a robot. I mean, he's so stoic, so focused. He's like.
Where did I put my noose?
He's like and there's these characters online like Andrew Tate, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. He's the football equivalent. No. Arteta's too soft.
Well, Clark, because all those people you just listed are knobheads.
Well, it's perspective. It's perspective. At a certain perspective, maybe these are polarizing figures is all I'm saying. Okay, that's my point.
Yeah.
They are polarizing figures, right. And HAG is here. Anyways, okay, that's the intro. Anyways, guys, Carabao Cup, I watched it yesterday. It was a good game. Fun game, I thought, I mean, look, I realize it's the Carabao Cup. I'm not getting too crazy overjoyed about it. It's a game.
You could have fooled us.
We should be winning it, and let me tell you why it's a big game. Because everybody else was hoping United would lose. Everyone else is hate watching that game because they don't want United to win, and for that,
I think you're giving the Carabao Cup far too much credit there.
But everyone's watching it because they want to see us fail, and we didn't fail. Anyways, go ahead.
I think the Carabao Cup is always going to be a little bit of the Mickey Mouse, right? If you lose, it's like it's only the Carabao Cup, and if you win, it could be the start of something very good. But it's like, I still think it's a very good trophy to win in the first season as a manager at any club. So if Eddie Howe had won it, it would be a great trophy win because it's his first year as Newcastle manager, the first proper season. But it is ultimately still just the League Cup, and I'm always of the opinion that cup shouldn't even exist. It's just a fixture congestion. It shouldn't even exist.
I said over the weekend, no one cares about the cup unless they're in it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that includes Arsenal fans. Like if we're in the final, of course those fans are going to want to win it. They're going to want to celebrate it. It's a trophy win. It's silverware. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think maybe you felt like everyone wanted you to lose. I knew you were going to win. I think Newcastle are pretty average, and I think their league position, especially currently, is a bit flattering for how they've been playing. But yeah, I don't think, the tournament has traditionally been used, especially by the main protagonists were Ferguson and Wenger, that used the cup as a breeding ground for some of their younger players and second string, if you like. And that really was Wenger and Ferguson that started that trend, and then other teams started to follow suit. And when you get final, it's hit or miss. Sorry, Culture, go on, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the only manager, just while you were touching on the managers, it was the only manager that really sort of revitalized it as a competition potentially was Pep, when he came in and was like, I just want to win everything. So he played his strongest. Can you remember they went on that run of winning it like 3 times in 4 years, or 4 times in 5 years or something? And Pep was the manager that was like, no, we're playing our strongest 11 because we want to win everything. And it sort of gave a little bit more credence to it. And then they started winning, Premier Leagues and stuff like that. And then they started playing kids, and it was like, it's back to normal. So I'm happy that we've won it. I'm very happy that we've won it in Ten Hag's first season. But I'm trying not to get, too carried away.
I felt that way about the FA Cup and Arteta, and certain people, no names mentioned, cartwheelchamp scoffed at it repeatedly.
Well, he took over like halfway through the season. It wasn't really his team, etc. He did like a Di Matteo type of thing.
Still got the job done in a tough final, I thought.
He did.
So let's focus on the game then. What do we actually think about the game itself?
I thought United played pretty average. I don't think there wasn't. I mean, for that reason, I thought it made for a better game, just because Newcastle was able to attack. They had more possession, I believe, more passes. I feel like they were around the attacking or the final third more often than us as well, right? Just a set piece and a deflected goal was the difference. I mean, United aren't the finished product, but it's just a mentality. I think it felt like a bit like a war of attrition almost, just like who wants it more almost like. And like I said last week, we just want it more. We have that mentality now. We want it more. Yeah.
Milo, did you watch it or highlights?
I did, yeah. No, I did. Yeah.
Thoughts?
I watched most of it. I was actually in the same viewing area you were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I jumped in because I didn't think I had a feed, but then I actually found one. But I decided just to kick it and watch that feed that one of you was sharing. Cartwheel was sharing, I think.
Yeah.
I did watch it. I thought Newcastle were pretty average, and I felt like United. I think I said it all last week. I thought United would be too strong for them given the form going into the game, and I think it didn't surprise me in the slightest, to be honest.
It was really interesting. I mean, like, Newcastle had more possession, more passes, and all that sort of stuff, but they had 2 shots on target is what they came up with. I think they looked, whether it was they were worried about going central because of Varane and Martinez, who have been a really good centre-back partnership this year, but they never got the ball to Isaac. Then they put 2 people up front, and Ten Hag it looked like Ten Hag just told Casemiro to drop in to be another centre-back and just patrol right in front of the back too, and then they couldn't break through that and get the ball to the strikers. And Newcastle I think you're right, Milo. I think we're looking at the Newcastle that everyone's a bit more expecting. Like, it's not an amazing squad. They've ridden that wave of the takeover, and now it's sort of like, okay, what's going to happen after they've lost a final?
If they don't make top 4, they're going to have to go. They're still going to get there, I think, because the money is in place, right? So if they don't make top 4, they're going to have to make the Europa League, and then they're going to have to have some success next season. So they might have to take that extra year to build the team. But for me, they're lacking creatively. They had nothing that could unlock United on the pitch.
Sean Longstaff's not the answer.
No, he's not. And no team with that kind of bankroll is gonna is going to settle for that for very long. But then it's how do you convince them without Champions League football that your project is the one? I mean, if it's just a case of throwing $500,000 a week at them, then they could try that, and maybe there's one or two mercenary type players that will take it. But I have a feeling that they'll have to go the longer way around. But and I don't begrudge them it at all. I think the tune of, you know, they deserve some success, man. They do. It's a great footballing city. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
no, I'm not. I've always
I just had the beer.
Yeah,
I enjoy the
it's
beer.
a top Newcastle Brown Ale.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's all right.
It's all right.
When I was younger, it was a top night out, like really good nightlife. And I mean, I wouldn't go there for that now. I'm far too old and
what
miserable.
was special about the nightlife, Milo?
I can't say too much about it right now. I just
the women don't dress don't wear very much.
Don't shine that spotlight on me.
Oh, my bad. Moving on.
Go and watch Geordie Shore, and then you'll find out.
Is that a show?
It used to be a show, called Geordie Shore, which is all based in Newcastle. Yeah.
Oh, man. Please tell me that came before Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I think it did. I think Geordie Shore was first. I think potentially. Wow. Well, no, it's probably an American thing that's come over. Actually, you're probably right.
I mean, Jersey Shore was so big here. That was pretty funny. But I feel like Newcastle. I mean, I should probably look this up, but I don't think they've spent a whole lot. They spent on Isak, spent on Gumarães, I believe, and Gumarães wasn't like massive amounts of money. I don't believe. He was a relatively average, cost. And there's talk of making him the highest paid player at the club, but I still think there's a lot of investing for them to do that they haven't done yet. I'm curious to see how they progress.
They have the largest bankroll of all of them, right?
Yeah, they have the largest funds. Yeah, they have more funds than Man City.
And obviously we know that FIFA fair play stuff has to come into it and all the rest of it, but I still think what's held them back so far is the results and not being in European competition. Like even just getting in the Europa League will help them bring in some of their targets, because then they can work on their league position next year.
I mean, their FFP, they've got so much money to spend in that because Mike Ashley hardly spent anything.
Yeah.
Like they've got so much wiggle room in their FFP. So even that will keep them in limit. The thing I noticed about their squad is that they're so thin on the ground at the moment in terms of depth. Something we talk about quite a lot on this show. Their depth is so poor. Like Trippier gets injured. I don't even know who their backup right back. Paul Dummett maybe at backup right back, I think. But I'm not 100% sure about that.
Target's a left back.
Target's the left back.
Left back. Right.
Like Target's their starting left back.
That's
like
right.
Then you've got Jamal Lewis who can play there, who they bought on at right wing in the game.
It takes one giant signing to sometimes tip it though. What if they went out in the summer, for example, and got Kvaratskhelia?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a statement signing of some ilk that set it in motion,
I think they need that. I think they will do that. They'll buy a mercenary. I'm not saying Kvaratskhelia is a mercenary, but I think they will buy
they'll go
a
get
big name. Yeah. They'll bring someone in who's a big name. But
did you guys see that guy who had the big NUFC tattooed on his belly?
Yes.
Didn't that kind of look like James Corden a little bit?
It looked like a really, really fat James Corden. Yeah.
I thought maybe it could have been. What if it was James Corden, and just put on a wig? Because he was wearing glasses, wasn't he? That'd be great.
Know. But it's not James Corden. But it would be funny. It would be quite funny. But
it would be funny.
On the flip side, then, Cart, Man United.
Yeah, I mean,
like you said, it's not amazing performance, but
yeah, it didn't feel like an amazing performance. I'm hypercritical. I don't know if you know my hypercritical theory here, but Marcus Rashford, the night before the Barcelona match, which we can talk about a little later too, he posted a picture of himself and Lewis Hamilton, handshaking. Rashford kind of has this Stevie Wonder look about him, he's wearing all these chains and stuff. And that was the first social media posting he'd made that was non-football related, non-family related, he did since he posted about one of his books coming out in last March. And to me, this was always the problem. He needs to focus on football. If he doesn't have this form of the last 2 months, I don't think he's posting that photo. Personally, I just don't think he's doing it. I think he's heard all the adulation. I think he's heard all the praise that's been, and tons of praise has been thrown on him lately. I think we can all agree. And I think he's heard all that, and there's something going on. And maybe that deflected goal is the bit of luck he needs to kind of, get on a wave to kind of push him forward. But against Barcelona, he played horribly, and against Newcastle, he was very average in my opinion. So that was one aspect of our attack that was just sort of weak, I thought. At the right back position, I thought Dalot, before the match, when I saw Saint Maxim, because when we played them in October, I think, October, Saint Maxim was injured, I believe, for that match. So he's kind of a big threat, in my opinion, for them. And Dalot obviously picked up a yellow. But it's interesting that we have Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. They can almost just tell one to play tough, pick up a yellow card, and then boom, the other one can sub in, and then they can play aggressive as well. I think that's a great 1-2 punch at the right back position, because oftentimes teams have a mazy left winger type of guy that can do some damage. But I thought when Wan-Bissaka came in, he looked great, man. And he looks like he could be back in England contention. That's just what like a good team, a well-oiled machine that a certain manager has put back together is doing for players like Wan-Bissaka. He's just making them look like amazing players. But yeah, I thought Wan-Bissaka had a really good game. But the attack was nothing too crazy. I don't know, Cultured, if you saw anything in the attack. There was that one dribble by Anthony on Dan Burns, which was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. No. I think Rashford is just the man in the form, so clubs will do everything they can to mark him out the game, right? That's what anyone does. When you have a man that's on fire, you double up on him, or you mark him up, or you specifically, like someone said, Arejo pocketed him against Barcelona, but Arejo didn't do much else other than, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but he didn't do much else other than just stop Marcus Rashford playing. Like, he didn't stop anyone else playing. He didn't really affect the game in any other way other than stopping Marcus Rashford. So it means there's space somewhere else that's where Rashford's maybe game intelligence needs to be a little bit better. If he realizes he's not impacting the game, he can drift wide and try and pull a centre back out or pull someone out of position. But I think we went basically with a game plan of score and then just hit them on the counter attack, and I think that worked really well. And Casemiro's huge to that, right? He's so good defensively and such a good passing range that it's just what we've been. It's the holding midfielder that United fans have been crying out for about 4 or 5 years. It's just come 4 years too late and at the peak of his powers. Generally, he's not going to last forever. He's not going to be here forever. So
just turned 31.
What's next in that plan? Yeah, who are we eyeing up to replace Casemiro and do that job? That's the next question I'm sort of asking. So, I mean,
it's a perfect kind of example, or I don't know, what's it called? Foil, right? A foil. When you look at Pogba and Casemiro, it's just like a total different mentality shift, right? Same kind of roles that we're asking them to play. I mean, Pogba a little more of an 8, to be honest, but as we know, he can play almost every position. I'm
gonna hand it to Casemiro a little bit, because that signing at the time, it reeked a little bit of a panic buy. I don't know if you remember, there was some talk about it.
Yeah, I think
it reeked a little bit of a panic buy at the time, and it's worked out better than I think most people thought it would. He's adapted really quickly, whether that's the man whose name we shall not say, or just he's
I love that. I like that.
He can adapt.
Not be named.
He must not be named.
I'm just sick of his name already. But anyway, yeah.
Ethereum also is taking off right now. Ethereum, right? Isn't that what's the ETH?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So
I agree with you, Milo. Yeah, it was a bit of a panic, I think. But we don't know if it was a panic like we've probably all had in FM, where we all know Cart needs a new goalkeeper, so who the hell he's going to end up with in the network save, we don't know. But
do you guys know who I signed?
It could have been
Ward.
Oh no, okay.
Ward's his keeper.
He does.
We don't know who you've signed. Okay.
We're on deadline day, right? Yeah, I think we had deadline day.
Yeah.
We can't play it without Hoff. I'm so
yeah, we can't play today.
Bloody Hoff.
By the way,
tornado.
Hoff got caught in a tornado, guys. His internet's out till at least tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Not literally. He's not like Dorothy.
Swirling around the air.
Yeah.
Right. Shit's going crazy in Ohio right now. I don't know if you guys, there's oil.
No.
I don't know if you guys heard about that.
See, but yeah, there's a thing from Stefan. Sorry to interrupt, because that is an important thing. What happened in Ohio? Stefan says that Pogba under Ten Hag would cook. How do you feel about that? Do you think Pogba is the kind of player that would thrive in this setup that you're absolutely adoring right now?
That's a great question.
No, I don't think he works hard enough for this setup.
Yeah, the fact that I have to think about it so hard it makes me feel like it would be I mean, I'm not gonna put it past Ten Hag. I'm not gonna put it past him. But
Pogba's talent is there. We all know that he has something under the hood. It's just can you channel it into week in, week out? That's the problem.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, if anyone could do that, it would be Ten Hag. But I think he was. I mean, if you're getting Pogba, if you're signing him from Juventus for 80 million or whatever, how much he cost us, maybe Ten Hag could do something with him. But after whatever, he was there since 2015 or 2016. After so many years and such a turbulent, run at United, with this media, that media, this manager bust up, injuries here, French national team, doctors doing this, his doctor's doing that. I think they did an ankle surgery without telling the United staff or something. Stuff like that. After all of that, I think, it would have been tough. It would have been a really tough job to turn it around. But if you get a Pogba at, straight out of Juve, I think Ten Hag turns him into a superstar.
It's an interesting one. The thing I've got with Pogba is that he can be an absolute world-class player. But the only time I've ever really seen him be consistently world-class is for France. And that's because it's normally 4-game bursts in a World Cup or a Euros, or 2 games back-to-back against one big team and one small team in a qualifier or something like that. 'Cause I don't watch international friendlies; they're pointless. But over a whole season,
all around him as well,
and he's got the best players France can pick all around him, which is going to help. And in a club, whichever club he's been at, Juventus, he was outstanding when he had Pirlo there. Pirlo left, he was nowhere near as good, but he's never been consistent at a club level if you look at his actual stats. But yes, Man United played him out of position, but Pogba also knew he was signing for Jose Mourinho. He knew how Jose Mourinho played. He knew what was happening with that. And I think he didn't offer enough to be played in behind the striker consistently to do that. I would much rather have someone like Christian Eriksen or even a Bruno Fernandes, where yes, they're going to lose the ball, but Bruno Fernandes plays such high percentage passes, he loses the ball, but then runs his fucking ass off to try and win it back.
Yeah.
Pogba, you never saw that. Eriksen, is slightly different. He would just keep things ticking over and you know exactly what you're getting. I think the thing with Pogba is that at a club level, you never really knew which Pogba you were going to get on certain days, how much he was up for it, what was going to happen. And that was the frustrating bit, wherever you played him on the pitch. So
I totally agree with that. And I also think, with United in the last couple of years, right? You didn't know what United was going to turn up either,
Yeah.
And that's the thing about he who must not be named is he's got, if anything, we'll be defensively strong, and then at halftime he'll make some tweaks, and then he'll get it right. And that's the thing, he just consistently gets it right. I mean, sure, he has a great squad. I'm not disputing that. We spent money, but that's just what happens at these let's see, financially big clubs, right? They're gonna spend money. Asking him not to is another thing. And that's just part of it. you know.
Yeah, as a United fan, I think what's good at the moment is obviously it feels like we have a manager that you can trust with those players and that money.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Ralph,
Exactly.
Honestly, Ralph's appointment, I was pleased at the time because it felt like he was just going to step onto the sporting director, and then we'd have some structure, and then that all got blown out the water as well. Jose, you can probably trust him to spend the money right, but it's not going to go out and spend it on exhilarating players that are going to impress you and make it fun. It's going to be pragmatic. It's going to be results first. It's going to be that. And Ole, yeah, didn't have the experience, I don't think, and wasn't backed by a good scouting network. But
Cartwheel called Ralph the godfather of football. Can I?
No, yeah, I'm going to comment on that. And we've brought up the godfather of German football, right? Ralf Rangnick, big personality, a student of the game, a teacher of the game, right? He hosts seminars and stuff like that. He teaches coaches. He taught Sean Dyche, or he spoke at a seminar Sean Dyche attended when he was very young. Sean Dyche talked about having beers with him. Anyways, this guy's been around the game for a long time. He's worked with organizations from the bottom up. I don't know if we'll ever get the full extent of Ten Hag's influence at United, but just like 9/11, we'll never know. So I'm going to side with the part that says he went to United. He said, look, he sat down with Ed Woodward or John Murtough or whoever's up there and said, look, these are your basic problems. And then he came out in a press conference and he said, these are the basic problems. It's easy for everyone outside to see what the problems are here at United. And he basically plotted out the fact that United need to, they can't have any more mistakes in the transfer markets, including managers, right? You sign a manager who has a philosophy that you trust, you back him, and you don't make any more mistakes in the transfer market. And that's exactly what's happened. That's what's happened since his time there. Obviously, it was a short stint. I really don't believe that it was meant to be a long-term thing. Like you said, Culture, I thought he was just going to go upstairs. But I do think, it's almost impossible for me to think that we brought him in as manager with all of his experience, and he had absolutely zero conversations about how to run the club from a technical sporting directive way, right? It's almost unthinkable that would happen. Obviously, we have this traditional idea of what a manager is. He takes care of the players. Obviously, Sir Alex did it a little differently. Arsene probably did it differently as well. But this idea that he had no say, or he wouldn't have advised anyone about technical direction or his experience at Leipzig and whatnot is just, it's so hard for me to believe. And that's why I say he was a massive signing for that little short stint after Ole, was because we don't have proof, but just like 9/11, I'm gonna guess that Tower 7 went down. He told Ed Woodward, this is what's happening. You need to get this in line. He changed the structure. The structure of the entire club changed that summer, by the way, right? Eric Ten Hag in charge of sporting, and then before it was Ed Woodward in charge of everything, and his role was broken into two, right? They hired more people. Richard Arnold, I think. I don't know. Anyways, enough about this 9/11. You guys got me talking about conspiracies.
You brought it up yourself.
What? I did? You guys are saying Building 7.
Fresh in your mind? Why is this fresh in your mind?
I don't know. I think it's Twitter. I hate Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, we're near September. I have no idea why you're.
I don't know how your analogy went to 9/11. It was very impressive to pull it out of nowhere.
Well, it's just there's just information we'll never know.
Yeah.
And the influence that Rangnick had at Arsenal, at United, we'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways,
I feel the same way about Emery at Arsenal.
No, I don't know.
That's a lie. I don't.
Yeah. So what does the aim change for Ten Hag's United? Does it change for the rest of the season or going forward? Does this make a difference in the plan, or first trophy, first year? Yes, only the League Cup, but it is a trophy in the first season. Does it change expectations? I guess is the question. Let's go to Milo. He's a neutral in this.
You have to be. You've got to, at this stage, because of the transition, you've gone from Fergie and you've gone through some things that haven't worked. Arsenal did the same after Wenger, albeit a shorter period of time. Maybe that's luck, maybe it's fortuitous, maybe it's just the right moves behind the scenes at the right time. And I feel like, similar to Arsenal, you've got to, from this point, mid-season, you're on this great run. You just got to take it one game at a time. Like, that has to be his message. Like, focus on one game at a time, and if you carry on the way you are, whatever you're doing right now, you will finish top 4. You may be in the title fight, and I think that would be beyond any of your expectations for the season. Maybe not, the club expectations and your overall expectation of Man United, as we well know, is to compete for everything. But if this is the end of that transition, it's probably overdue. But I think for the rest of this season, if I was him, I'd be like, one game at a time.
Yeah.
That final's out the way, on to the next.
Yeah.
Who have you got next in the league?
Liverpool in the league.
West Ham and Liverpool. Yeah. In the cup.
So that Liverpool game is a tough one, because on paper they're in really weird form. You're in great form. Anfield's such a difficult place to go and play it. And then it's a derby match between you two. Blood will be boiling, Anfield will be rocking. You've got all that side of it. That's going to be a really tough game. If you get a win there, I think that would be huge for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, the thing is what happens from here is just the performance, right? Has to be up, right? We could go to Anfield, and I think, well, on paper right now, I think we have the better squad, but you never know. You never know what Liverpool's going to show up. So they could show up and just completely, it could be one of those days. And as long as the performance is good, I'll be happy. Honestly, yeah, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
1 second here.
Like everything, all runs come to an end. So it's just where will you drop points? Because I just think every team is going to drop points this season. We're seeing it, right? Like, City are not infallible. No one's infallible. So you're going to drop points somewhere. Where will it be, and how critical will it be? If Liverpool are, it depends how close Liverpool are to you in the table, because they're adamant they still need top 4, right, for them to continue with whatever their plan is. They need that. They'll need to be top 4. So they've got a lot of work to do. Chelsea seem out of it, I think.
Yeah, the thing, where do we go from here? For me, honestly, the League Cup, it didn't really I didn't really get a big dopamine drip from it. It felt like normalizing almost. Because we've been bad for 6 years, and even before that, it was a little tumultuous. But it just feels like this is kind of the normal. Right, we need to be in these kind of games. Obviously, a lot of people will point to the run we had leading up to this match. A lot of the big guys, ate each other or just kind of dropped to, I think, Forest. City lost to Forest after taking out Arsenal. It just kind of set up for us to just kind of continue our progression that we've been making. So to be honest, I'm happy, but even when we were winning trophies with United, it was always this sense of, all right, we won it. Let's be happy for like an hour, for me at least, an hour or two. We take that with us, but it's on to the next one. We're looking for more. I want more trophies. I think a lot of the players were, saying that as well. And I know it's like, I don't know. That's just the comes with the territory, right? If like Leicester, for example, when they win a title, they're like, my life is over. Hey, I'm done. That's it. Like we've made it. That's our whole thing. But just part of being a Barcelona, Madrid, United, Bayern, right? These are just big clubs. They're financially big. They're decent sized clubs. And they just, it's expected that they win all the time. Obviously in England, I think it's harder, but that's just the normal. Now, whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But if we can perform at that level, I'll be very happy, because England's totally different now.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that especially in England, it's going to be a lot harder because I think there's going to be a lot more clubs that are expecting that they should be winning. Like Newcastle are expecting they're going to be winning. Arsenal, I would assume, are always going to expect they should be winning the FA Cup at least because they've got such a history by winning it. And now you're in a title race and you're top of the league. Win this league. A lot of, I'm not saying all Milo, but a lot of the Arsenal fan base will say we should be challenging every year. We should be challenging every year. We should be going for this. We should be going for the Champions League. And it's
because we don't have the financial clout. I look at it. It's not that I'm happier, but I'm more comfortable looking at Arsenal in waves, right?
Yeah.
So in the early 80s, it was a low point into a high point towards the end of the 80s and the early 90s, and then there was a bit of a dip, and then there was an amazing high point, you know what I mean? And then we've had another dip with a couple of small FA Cup high points in between. So Arsenal's a very, very up and down graph if you look at it over the last 20 years, or the last 40 years if you want to take my whole life. Do you know what I mean? But it's always been that way. So I have to take the peaks and the valleys, as it were. Whereas I think our expectations are a little bit less. I think I've said to you guys, because of the age of this Arsenal team and what not just the team but the manager and even the technical director with Edu, he's done a decent job. They're all fairly young. There's no reason they shouldn't grow. Make sure we have some success, add the right pieces to it. The money will follow. It won't ever be as much without some giant takeover. But do you know what I mean? Like, that's where I sit with Arsenal. I realize not all fans feel that way. And I think there's a win now generation, right? Like, if we're not winning now, I'm upset and I'm going to talk shit about it online. I'm not in that generation, so I feel really differently about it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I feel the same, by the way.
Yeah.
I think you can see a longer term project rather than it has to be win now.
I can, but United, this dip for United has been the only one of my lifetime.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Longest one since 1981, I think.
Which is the year I was born. So thank you for making my point.
Do
you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. And United, before oil money, I think United were the richest club, right? Because of the other stuff outside of football, the marketing and the worldwide reach and all the rest of it. They did a great job doing stuff like that. So, for me, like, they've always been there, and I can understand that demanding success. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I can see a bit more of a peak in a valley, and like I'd be torn if Arsenal got taken over by some oil billionaire and money was not an option. I'm sure it would be fun for that period of time, but it's a real tough one.
I feel like if that happened, it would Arsenal have such a tradition of the youth academy, right? That I think there would be an emphasis on that, right? You'd still have those players coming through, almost like a Barcelona-esque.
A lot of that comes from Wenger, though, because we didn't have that. Like, our first team was famous for being in the pub right after the game, round the corner from Highbury. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was Wenger that changed everything, and in essence, he actually changed the landscape of English football a lot back then. He introduced dietary requirements that no one had ever used before,
he was a sports scientist before.
And he was the catalyst for the new training ground and the facilities that we have that are so good. Now the England team use them. So, do you know what I mean? He changed all that side of things. So I think that academy side is really a Wenger thing more than an Arsenal thing. But it's good moving forward because, as I say, young players know they get a chance, but then has that at times cost us relying on youth? I think we could probably say there has been times where it has.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah. Anything else about the Carabao Cup just before we move on? I mean, funny dance by Eric Ten Hag with Lisandro and Anthony at the end. In my opinion, very cringe, but it's a tradition. It's what they did at Ajax, and I was reading a lot of Ajax fans were getting teary-eyed seeing that, because that's what they did at Ajax and what but it's super cringy.
Yeah, anyway. It is, but it'll be a superstition thing, right? It'll be
Yeah, I think
superstition.
it might be. They want.
So-
They're gonna do it every time now. So let's just get used to that. Like look how presumptuous we are. They're gonna do it every time. Every time. Double trophy lift, which I thought was kind of weird. One in the stands, and then they bring it down to the field, and then they do it again in the field. Kind of weird. I don't know.
I was in bed by then.
Harry
That's
Maguire
because-
lifted.
Is that because Wembley's infamous for it used to be about the steps,
Right.
So
They brought
now-
it
but
back
now-
recently, right? And then they.
yeah, now most trophies that you win in world football, they bring out the fake stage and quickly and put it on the center
Right.
circle, right? And they do it that way. Whereas I think they shouldn't have done that. I think they should keep it at Wembley. It should be the steps. I think because
But
they built those steps in the same on purpose.
In the same,
Yeah.
for the old Wembley. And I assume it's because of when you do the steps and lift the trophy there, it's actually very hard for potentially half the stadium to see the trophy lift. So they go and do it on the pitch so that everyone can see it, I guess.
But with today's jumbo screens and whatnot, it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, just watch it on Twitter, not on your phone.
Yeah.
Virtual reality. Watch it in the metaverse.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Metaverse.
That's for the algorithm.
Moving on to Arsenal. We've been talking a lot about Arsenal. I just wanted to bookend the Carabao Cup. Obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah. Of
Okay.
course,
Anyway,
man.
there's so much. There's just so much. Yeah. Fergie did that before Wenger.
He didn't. Fergie definitely didn't do it before.
He
Wenger.
didn't. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Arsenal, big 1-0 win over Leicester on Saturday. Tight game, some controversial calls as always, as there seems to be in Arsenal matches. Gabriel Martinelli scoring 46th minute, big goal for him, I thought. Yeah, Milo, what are your general thoughts about the game?
I mean, I disagree. I thought the ref actually and VAR got pretty much every decision spot on in that game. I thought it was a good game, a decent performance. To be honest, it should have been 3 or 4-1. Sorry, I was just reading Wayred's comment there. Okay, go for it, Wayred. Send us some proof. But anyway, yeah. So it had one of those games. For me, it was never in doubt. At no point was I thinking we're going to lose this. I thought even if Leicester did score, I felt comfortable that we would retake the lead. I thought it was a away performance that, again, in years past, we would have found a way to mess it up, and we didn't. He went with Trossard and Martinelli and dropped Eddie, which I thought was interesting. And Eddie, he said after the game it was about rest and the games coming up. We do have 2 games in 4 days coming up this week, so I'm sure part of it will be that. But I also think maybe it was getting a bit stale. And by trying the Trossard Martinelli, I thought it worked quite well. Trossard enabled Martinelli to attack a bit more, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do so much of the sort of defensive minded. He could be there for those counters and to get on the outside and cut in. So I thought it was good. And obviously that transpired with his goal, which I thought was a decent finish and a great ball from Trossard. I was upset Trossard's banger was ruled out because I thought that was a cracking goal. But if you look at the replay, Ben White was holding the goalie's arm. I mean, you can have no complaints. That was a silly. I wanted to be like, it's Ward. You don't need to do that. He's going to mess it up anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
watch FM, watch the network save.
Yeah, like, just let him get on with it and he'll find a way. So that was kind of a shame. But yeah, I thought it's important to get that second win in a row, obviously after beating Villa, after a little tough stretch. Start to build some momentum again. We got Everton next. We're looking for revenge against Sean Dyche's Barmy Army, and we'll see what happens. I mean, 2 points in front of City. Obviously, they had an easy win. We have a game in hand, so I was pretty happy. I felt like it flew under the radar this game and result, so it's good.
Yeah, I really like the Trossard Martinelli thing. The overloads on the left hand side were ridiculous. I can't remember. Castagna was Leicester's right back, and honestly, he didn't know which player to go to because Trossard drifted left and Martinelli started left and came in, and Castagna was like, I should probably follow Martinelli. But if I do that, Trossard's got so much free space, and it was a good. Whether it was implemented tactically or it's just naturally how both players want to play to drift left, then it was good. It was great to see it. Yeah.
And what I like about it too is if we go with that option, if teams decide to find a way to try and double up on that, it's going to give Saka more freedom on the other side. And we know how influential he can be on a game because he's done it all season long for us, to be honest.
Yeah, speaking of Saka, there was a foul on him. I don't know if you remember that one. It was he was kind of in the middle in the 6-yard box, just outside the penalty box.
I didn't think it was a pen.
No,
I didn't think it was a pen. I thought it was the classic forward in the box. You feel the contact, you go down. It's what they all do. It's not something I love. I wouldn't call it a dive. I'd say there was some contact, but he felt it and went. And for that, I was perfectly okay not getting a penalty for that. Had it finished 0-0, would I feel the same way? That's the question.
Yeah. You know, it's a tough one. It felt like a foul to me, but I don't know. It was just
It's the thing that you always bring up, Cart, isn't it? It's like, should it be the rule that every single contact of not touching the ball, every contact should be a foul? And is that the consistency you get to? I mean, I don't want to go down that route, but I can understand with VAR and with how much money is on the line, there can be that argument to say any bit of contact in the box that doesn't touch the ball is a penalty. I'm with Milo, though. I don't think it was, by the way, but
I'll find the post. This is a very pro Arsenal post. I mean, I'm gonna find, but it showed that Saka situation, and then it showed the situation with Gabriel Magalhaes and Dan Burn in the Newcastle game, where Dan Burn clearly grabbed his shirt. The ball did not go to them, right? It went over their heads, and there was a no call, right? I don't know. I felt like it should have been a call, and I don't know, these types of I believe at that time you were 1-0. No, it was 0-0 at the time. So I feel like that plays a role in the refs' mind. You know, they don't want to make that sort of 50-50 call that breaks the 0-0. And you know, and like you said, if it finishes 0-0, who knows how you're gonna feel. But yeah, I don't know.
I know. That's the thing. I really feel like it's a 50-50 decision. So. Yeah. So 50%, you know, we've seen them given, right? We've seen those given, and we've seen them not given, and that's, for me, is the clear definition of a 50-50 kind of incident. And like, I'm 50-50. Like this time, I'm happy with it not being given, but again, another time, I might be not happy with it. You know?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. But you guys are doing well with that. Jesus, as Sin0 points out as well. He's back in training, I believe, right? I think he's back in training.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much longer, but they're definitely not going to rush him back. I think it would be great to have him come in, and if the team didn't lose a lot of momentum with him out, I think that can only be a good thing.
Right.
It'll be like a new signing.
Yeah, like I mean, look, Wayred, you asked earlier in the chat, and I did see that you asked if I thought we would still win the league. I've never said that I think we will. I've said that we're in a fight. We're in the title fight, and that's more than I could have asked for at the start of the year. And I think we're still in that fight, and I couldn't be happier. And I hope that we beat Sean Dyche and his band of orcs.
Yeah, that's on Wednesday. At home.
Yeah, I mean, we you know, those players should be fired up for that, because I feel like, you know, that took a lot of wind out of the sails. That was the love game.
It was the love game. I don't know why I found that so funny. That post game. It was.
I feel like you found it offensive.
It wasn't offensive. It was just kind of like, where did that come from? You lost 1-0. It was just a tight game. You know, they were pretty overpowering, to be honest. Onana, that game was possessed.
The Latin, you know?
First game.
I love my players.
I guess so. I feel like Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell if Arteta's evil or not. I feel like he's a bit evil. You know, he's got that kind of like you'd be in Slytherin type of thing. You know.
Your manager looks like Dr. Evil, literally.
He has always had a nasty streak, didn't he?
Yeah.
In central midfield, he always had a little bit of a nasty streak.
I think you had to have in centre midfield.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
So, but
all right, well,
what else?
Yeah. Speaking of. Yeah, Man City. Speaking of title contenders, title run, Man City 4-1 over Bournemouth. Haaland has set a record, correct? He's the highest or something. He's set another record. I forgot what it was.
I'm sure he has, and this is just the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah,
But he's made them worse. He's made them worse.
He's made. Yeah, I mean,
he's made them worse.
Bournemouth isn't. You know, of all the teams in the Premier League, I think Bournemouth is the one you kind of. 3 points in the bag for the top 6 at least. But yeah, 4-1 win over Bournemouth. Alvarez scoring, Haaland scoring, Foden scoring, all in the first half. One of those games is just kind of over in the first half type of game. But yeah, Pep continues. They played midweek as well. I mean, we forgot to do. We can talk a little Europa League and Champions League here as well. They played against Leipzig, which I don't know if you guys saw any of the games. That was, I mean, it's a long time ago. It was last Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. It feels so long ago now, but yeah, it was a good game. I saw that. Well, I saw the second half. I should be honest. My understanding is Man City played him off the park in the first half, and then in the second half. Pep got a little bit of criticism for not using any subs, and he just kept it as it was. And Leipzig got 1 goal back, and they had all the possession. They were kind of playing this high. I think Pep mentioned they played with like 6 attackers, 5 attackers, 6 attackers. And then he jokingly said, maybe at Man City, and the people were asking him about, why he didn't make subs, and he's like, I can do it, it's my I'm the manager, and he's like, maybe at home on the second leg I'll play with 9 strikers, I'll play with 9 strikers, how he would say, I don't know how, I have a good Pep accent.
Yeah,
but, he's doing his thing, but yeah, that'll be coming a little later. Later on Saturday, we had I think it was Brighton, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, 0-0, following Liverpool Madrid 5-2 embarrassment. Yeah, Liverpool. Their poor form makes me a little worried about the United game, because that's a game that can really turn their whole thing around. Their whole season.
Yeah.
We've struggled against against Arsenal, City we lost away. Chelsea we drew. Tottenham I don't think we've played yet away. And now Liverpool will be a tough one as well. So, I don't know. Any thoughts about Liverpool and what's going on with them right now? I
should have sold Mo Salah when he was at his peak transfer value. I know it's easy to say that in hindsight, but it was always one that my mate who I do my other podcast with, called Josh, was always like, if I was the Liverpool manager, like this was back when they sold Mane, he was like, I would have sold both, have the wrath of the fans, but invest that money in upcoming players. Because Salah, I've said it before, like it's the motivation, keeping the motivation after winning everything with one club, I think is tough. And Salah looks like a player that needs a new challenge now. He's still obviously a fantastic footballer, absolutely fantastic footballer, but I don't know if he's maybe had enough of Klopp or just generally Liverpool. But I think like you see him play and he needs a new challenge or needs new players around him or something like that. But Liverpool look, I don't know, they just look bereft of ideas. They look short of players, short of a plan B, short of something different. I'm not sure. I can't really put a finger on it with Liverpool. Klopp said he's not going to leave, so they know what that's happening. Maybe it's a rebuild as part of this season, and next year they'll come back stronger. But there's so many weaknesses in that Liverpool squad compared to what they've done in recent seasons. It's just a bit mind-boggling, really. Like, I could never have imagined them losing 5-2 to Madrid last season. So,
yeah,
very strange.
They've got the young kid.
It's a rough game for them.
Basetic is the only kind of like highlight I think that's come out of the season. So.
It was a rough game for him, and obviously the scoreline, like, look, I've been on the end of a few of those against Bayern Munich. You may recall 5-2s,
Yes.
5-1s. You know, it does happen, especially if your form's erratic throughout the season. Anyway, you know, looking at it as well across the whole Champions League, none of the English clubs did very well this week. City with the draw, all the others lost, right? Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham all lost. It was kind of a rough week. So, yeah, I mean, that kind of a defeat at home obviously has got to hurt a little bit more. Yeah, it's an interesting one. And your comments about Salah, like, I can't see him leaving. If he did leave, I think it would have to be to. I could see him going somewhere like Bayern, actually. PSG, yeah. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think they'll. I think, like a few Liverpool fans have said, you know, they're suffering a little bit with the going toe to toe with City for a few
trying
years,
to push,
you know?
with less resources, trying to push City for that many years. Yeah, could be.
I don't know.
He's got a
It's funny how it
contract
works,
till
though, isn't it?
2025. He's the fifth highest player.
If it continues like this, I don't think they would let it go past Christmas next season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like if you remove Salah, right, and you try to replace him with with somebody, I don't know who it would be. Obviously depends big time on who that somebody is. But if you remove Salah, it's like, are you saying instead of Mane you get rid of Salah, or both?
I think they had won everything with Liverpool, and they had such a peak transfer value at that moment in time. I probably would have sold potentially both of them.
Right.
Salah was at the top of his game. How much would he have gone for? It would have been absolutely ridiculous money that they could have got, and someone like Bayern, PSG, or Madrid, or Barca maybe would have paid something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a really difficult one, because obviously Liverpool probably wouldn't come into this season thinking this is going to be a season we're going to use as a rebuild, right? That's
the thing.
A fact of the after effect is this season hasn't been as good, so let's use it as a rebuild.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You can understand why they wouldn't sell both, and maybe it's because I'm not a Liverpool fan or a Liverpool manager or whatever, but it's a difficult decision to make, but those decisions have to be made at the right time, and now Salah is just not going to be worth as much.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be a guaranteed success. I mean, look at Spurs, right? They probably did sell Gareth Bale at some of the peak of his powers and at the highest transfer value. They just didn't reinvest that money very well, so it didn't really work out for them. But Liverpool are in a tough position where they're having a rebuild in a season. They're also trying to sell the club. It looks like
that is.
Sell. So
I don't think they could have predicted it, though. You know, like I don't think. I mean, maybe somebody. I wonder if somebody predicted it right after they sold Mane, after they signed Nunez. If someone out there, some pundit or analyst, was like, obviously analyzing the age of the midfield and the factors you brought up about having won everything. If there's going to be some sort of dip, right? I wonder. I don't think I heard it from anybody. Almost every prediction table had them first or second in the table, or maybe third at worst. One or two maybe. But like all the Premier League predictions, I can't remember what our predictions were. I think most of us had Chelsea and Liverpool in top 2 or 3. Maybe 1 or 2 had them 4 or something.
You had them second, yeah. I had them second.
Yeah, so I wonder if there's any analysts out there who could have predicted this, and it's like that's what makes it so tough to say that about Salah, because it's they were going to cash in on Salah or Mane, right? That's what the feeling was, and they obviously went with Mane. I felt they should have gone with Salah at that time and kept Mane, because I thought they could have got more value out of Salah, like you mentioned.
But Mane was more vocal about wanting a new challenge.
I think they also did.
I don't know.
They didn't give him a contract, though, right? Was it?
Well, they were trying to, but he wanted a new challenge, so they cashed in.
Oh, okay.
contract.
Okay.
So Liverpool wanted to give him a new contract. Mane said, "Oh, I'm not sure. I think I want a new challenge." So Liverpool, I think, went, "Well, if you're not going to sign a new contract, we'll get some value for you and cash in." And then Bayern came in, and I don't know if it was a case that. Obviously, we don't know what Mo Salah's thinking, but is he he's very reserved, right? You never hear about him in the press, you never hear about him talking, you never hear about him coming out and doing anything. Does he want a new challenge? Did he want a new challenge? Did he think he could keep this Liverpool team going all by himself? Like, I imagine Liverpool would have spoken to him and said, we're going to be selling Mane. Like, Mane's... I feel like those conversations happen with top players at clubs. Like, for ins and outs, I imagine. Like, I can imagine Arsenal are very good at that. I imagine Arsenal are very good at telling their bigger players or players at someone like Saka, who may have been looking at a possible move somewhere, and Arteta sits him down and goes, well, no, we're looking at bringing in Jesus and Zinchenko, who are proven winners. They've won with Man City. Give this project a go. And I think that happens at all clubs. And I imagine Liverpool would have sat down with Salah and gone, we're looking at selling Mane and bringing in these players. Is that enough for you in this project? And then the question is Salah enough? Is Salah outward going enough to say, well, that's not enough, I do want a new challenge? Or is he like, yeah, I'll sign a new contract? And that's what you never know, right? It's like you said, all the information you never know. So
yeah, definitely.
But anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, it's just I feel like it would be, maybe more information will come out down the road, and they're just trying to kind of keep it tight.
Yeah.
Other big game of the weekend was Tottenham Chelsea. Tottenham won 2-0 at home. Chelsea. Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that Sako. Yeah, Sako's mentioning Diaz getting injured was you know,
he's back soon, is he not? I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. If you know, like you mentioned, those conversations that they were having with Salah about, you know, this is the project, this, and he's saying, okay, we got Diaz, we got Bobby still got some time. Okay, yeah, you know, I mean, it looks pretty good. It seems like, you know, they were maybe talked about, you know, signing a midfielder, you know, at some point, Bellingham, maybe something, you know, and he's thinking, okay, you know, it's looking good, and then just injuries hit, and I still think that midfield, that it just aged hard. You know, it aged hard one year. I think that was one they might have got wrong, or they just said, let's just risk it. You know, let's risk it. We got enough attacking fire to, you know, press and whatnot and all that stuff. But yeah. Chelsea lose again. I think they've scored 1 goal in 6 games or something. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff going on. Potter getting death threats. He's saying he's not phased. Lowest win percentage of any Chelsea manager. It's funny on that chart. It was Avram Grant had the highest win rate, by the way. Remember Avram Grant? He took him to the final in Russia against United. I thought that was pretty you know, that the Chelsea are like, it's just like a, what's it called, like a car crash, you know? It's just like you just love to watch it. I can't take my eyes off of it, because and Joao Felix is playing some fun stuff. He's fun to watch, but they just have Havertz and Joao Felix up top. It's just super. Oh, wrong comment here. Sorry. Oh, fine. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts about Chelsea? I mean, we talked about it. It's almost like a deja vu again, Milo. I don't know.
For me, this game, I wrote in my notes, ha ha ha, ah, damn it, because it was Tottenham that beat them.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, that kind of summed up how I felt about the game. But I thought it was interesting. There was an overall red card in that game for Ziyech, was it? I don't know if you saw
it was.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The slap on the shoulder that then bounced off and hit his face.
Yeah, and then it was handbags at 10 paces, right?
Yeah.
With all the players sort of pushing and shoving and whatnot. So yeah, the red got overruled. That's only the second one, right, this season? I think the other one was Gabriel.
Yeah, to be overruled. Yeah. To be rescinded.
So I kind of like that they're using VAR for that. I got to be honest.
Diaz, he took the tape off and everything. Or not Diaz, sorry. I was reading that. Ziyech took the tape off his fingers, ready to go off. And the steward tops. You know, it was just like, It was a weird one. That was a weird one. Yeah, that was a weird moment in the game.
Yeah, and then Tottenham got the job done. And I mean, I don't think anyone's facing Chelsea right now not thinking they can get something out of the game, and that's such a dangerous position to be in the Premier League. Because if you go to, you know, like I say, a club that's had success, I've seen Arsenal do it many times, where you become a team that people don't fear. They know they can get a result against you if they do a certain thing, and I think Chelsea are going through that right now, and yeah, I think Potter will be the casualty at the end of it.
It's a really interesting one, because I've always been a person to say, you know, Potter needs the time. Bowley, I don't think Bowley will sack him early, because it says that then Todd Bowley got the decision wrong. He'll give him until
the summer.
I think it could be the summer if he doesn't turn things around, because then Todd Bowley can say, we gave him enough time. We gave him the whole season to try and prove he can do this job. It's not the fact that we appointed the wrong person, it's that he couldn't do the job. I don't want Graham Potter to get sacked. I think Graham Potter, if you give him the rest of the season and a summer and then the start of the season and it's still bad, then you sack him. But that could be too long, too late. This season's a write-off. The issue you've got is that they've won 2 of their last 15 in all competitions, and that is pretty shit for the amount of money they spent. So, yeah, it's
Tuchel,
crazy.
Tuchel has won the most points this season for Chelsea.
Yeah, which is bonkers.
And if they give him the summer, they give him the summer. They let him, they offload players, sign players, and then they sack him, after a couple bad results. That'd be like the most. We say Spursy, but that'd be the most Chelsea thing.
Yeah,
they do that.
Not to harp on about the Madrid deal too much, but like what was their plan there? Like, you go out and you make sure you get this player, and then he's not playing well. He's getting a lot of grief from a certain element of their fans. Some fans are going to use him as a scapegoat because that's just the way fans work these days. You know what I mean? Like what was the plan there? Like, was the plan buy this kid and throw him in the first team instantly? Like,
that's the whole Chelsea. I think you can say that every Chelsea transfer. What was the plan? Like, is it just literally go and buy the best young players, give them the biggest contracts to get their value up and make sure they're at the club at their peak? But how is it all going to work?
It doesn't make sense at all what they've done this season.
It kind of they were one of the big they'd loan out a lot of players, right? That was kind of one of their things that they do a lot. Those rules are changing, but they always did this kind of like they kind of dance to their own beat type of thing. They kind of do their own thing. Hire managers, sack managers, like Sacco's mentioning. Like they'll just somehow win a trophy. They'll just somehow win a trophy, and like they'll just keep bumbling along, and
But the Abramovich teams that the first summer where he spent a record amount of money, at least the players they went and got, they might well have been overpaying for them, but they went and strengthened areas of that team instantly that were actual weak points.
And so Abramovich as well. A lot of the managers that worked for Abramovich have come out and said he went and bought the players I wanted, and that is what caused the pressure to say that if I don't perform, I'm sacked.
Yeah, right.
And that's what Ranieri said it, and Mourinho has come out and said it. Di Matteo said it, which is when Di Matteo had that terrible start to the season after he won the Champions League, he was just out straight away, because Abramovich backed the managers with the players they want. And there's a comment in here to say in the chat that it was like, are they the players Potter wants, or is he just being given them? But then there's so many sort of similarities between Potter at Chelsea to Potter at Brighton, and then what's happened at Brighton after Potter's gone. Potter was at Brighton, and they didn't have a goal scorer, right? That was the thing. They were really good at football. The football was really nice, but they struggled up front. And it was because they had Welbeck or Neil Maupay before he moved to Everton, or Trossard was playing in attacking midfield, and they didn't have this out-and-out goal scorer. Potter goes to Chelsea. Chelsea can't score goals, aren't scoring goals. Not that they scored prolifically under Tuchel, but they didn't. They're not scoring goals. De Zerbi comes in at Brighton, I think he signed one striker. I think De Zerbi signed a striker. Undav. I think that was a De Zerbi signing. He might have been there already. But Brighton are now scoring goals and still playing good football. And it's like, how much of that is Potter? How much of it is what Potter's philosophy is trying to get across? Is that the fact that means that team doesn't score goals, and that's the interesting bit I'm trying to get my head around.
Do they have like a technical director or director of football
At Chelsea?
Yeah.
They did, but she left under Abramovich. I think they've got another one.
Who's making the signings? Bowley?
There's Bowley, and then he recently hired somebody. One of the directors is, I think he has Arabic name, I think, or something, Middle Eastern name. I can't remember his name exactly.
Because it looks like they were rudderless for a while at the level where you're planning the next year and the 2 years down the line, and you know what I mean. It looks like they've gone through a run, and now Potter's in the driving seat of the result of that. Whereas if they kept him long enough, maybe he could say, okay, this is what we want to do. This is my philosophy, and we're going to change the personnel to suit that. But instead, they've just thrown personnel at him, and now he's not going to be. My concern is he won't be given the time to turn that into to mold it into anything. And they're going to expect the next guy. They'll aim high in the echelons of managers and expect the next guy to come in and be able to deal with all those different elements and turn it into something that does a job. Dare I say it, could we see Mourinho back there again?
I doubt it.
That'd be fun.
I doubt it. How does Todd Bowley run his baseball team? I want to say it is.
No idea. I got no idea.
I'm just wondering if we can read. Did he ever appoint an up-and-coming manager and then give him loads of time, basically, in baseball? I don't
so
like
baseball. They have Dave Roberts, and they did they were like, they just did it by the books, right? Statistically, they just did it all. Like, a pitcher would come in, face one batter, and then they, if they're towards the end of games, like that's all I can remember. They won a World Series during COVID time.
And everyone was chanting "Rounder, Rounder." Do you remember that, Cultured?
Rounders?
Yeah.
Rounders. Yeah, I remember Rounders. Yeah.
Sorry, Cart. So Rounders was this British version of baseball.
Oh, okay.
With a smaller bat and a bigger
We used to
ball.
play it in like primary school, and everyone would chant "Rounder, Rounder" when you were running around, like to get a home run. Sorry.
Also a really good gambling movie. I don't know if you've seen Rounders.
I have not.
It's about blackjack. I think it's about blackjack. Yeah, really good. Rounders, a good movie. But I don't know a whole lot about his time at the Dodgers, but I just remember that they did everything really by the book,
Okay.
And they faced the Astros, who were doing the. Did you hear about the? No, they were doing the Moneyball. They were hitting a trash can in their dugout. They were reading signs from the pitcher, which is illegal. And when there was a breaking pitch, they would bang the trash can twice so the batter could hear it. So a slower ball, right? When the pitch was going to be slower, and then when it was going to be fast, they wouldn't hit it or something, or they would hit it once, and so the batter would know it'd be one. So they stole some World Series from Todd Bowley. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And the Dodgers.
Interesting.
I'm a Dodger fan.
Okay.
But also, okay, we can kind of talk about this. It's sports related, and we're running a little short on time, but. In baseball, they have added a time clock for the batter to get set and get ready to hit the ball. They've added a time clock. Just recently, there was a game-winning bases loaded situation, 2 outs. Batter took too long to get into the batter's box. Game over. Umpire called a strike. Game over. They're trying like a shot clock, exactly. And baseball is a very traditional kind of sport. They do things like kind of almost identical as it used to be, and it's interesting. You're seeing the pressure of the TikTok generation, or this quick, action. It's having an effect on sport, and it's a trend. It seems like it's a trend, and I'm curious to see when it happens. A lot of we can go back to the Cup final real quick. A lot of the talk before the game was Newcastle's time of ball in possession, or time of ball in what am I saying? Time of ball in play.
Time in play.
Time in play. Yeah. that's just interesting, coincidence that this whole thing is happening in spring training. Well, it's in spring training, to be fair, but they're setting the precedent for time wasting. But anyways, interesting stuff. I mean, we could talk about Europa League. United beating Barcelona. Big week for United. Beating Barcelona, winning the cup final. Now we got West Ham in the FA Cup, then Liverpool on Sunday. Big week. Yeah.
I did have a question for Milo. Touching on Europa League draw. So you've got the British bogey team, Sporting. Yeah.
Hector Bellerin.
Yeah, I know. To be honest with you, I think we could take him.
It's a good draw, isn't it, for both of us, to be honest.
I feel like it is, but then I'm of the belief where we are in the league, we need to concentrate on that.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah,
taking risks with players' fitness in that tie should be secondary because of where we are in the league, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's the Carabao Cup of European Cups, isn't it? Right. so like, no one wants to win it until they're in the final, and then they want to win it. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone scoffs at Thursday night football. You've done it. Cart's done it. You've all done it in the chat. I know you have. Everyone. I think it's gone Thursday night football.
It's gone upper echelon because of the Europa Conference League, right? That's the Carabao Cup.
Maybe it has, but you know what I'm saying, right? You know where I'm coming from. It's not. We all know the Champions League is the one. European title, and that is just the way it is, right? So with that being said, when we played Chelsea in the Europa League final not that long ago, and it was, I would love to have won that. I would love to have won that trophy. Silverware is silverware at the end of the day, and it can only help your team in terms of money and, a couple of extra mil in the kitty next season. A little bit more growth. Maybe someone else watches the game and decides that they want to support the team, and it's what it's all about, isn't it? Really, it's about getting to finals and winning things. So, while we scoff at these things, like I said, there's certain trophies when you get there, it's like, So I don't know. I'm conflicted, but I would rather we concentrate on the league. I do think we have a team that could get past Sporting, but then I'd be lying if I said I watched a lot of the Portuguese league.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough.
We got Betis on the other hand, and Betis just Nabil Fekir, one of their best players, is out for a couple weeks now, so he'll be missing the tie.
Yeah,
it's pretty big for us. But,
both legs, or he's going to miss one, or
just the first leg, I think.
Oh, just the first leg. Okay. It might be both.
I thought it was just the first. It might be both.
He's out for a bit.
Even if he isn't, he won't be fully fit then, presumably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. Any other stuff? England stuff here. We got
one big news. The head of VAR is leaving his role at the end of the season. Because Howard Webb's been brought in to be head of the PUM goal, I think it's called.
PM match or
whatever it is, game official something. So they've had an agreement with Neil Swarbrick, off the top of my head, I want to say his name is. That's the head of the VAR for the referees, and he'll be leaving. I think he'll be going back to be a referee, because I think he gave up refereeing to become head of VAR. So I think he's going to go back to becoming just an on the pitch referee, but that's to be confirmed what he's going to do. But so more heads rolling in the world of VAR after Lee Mason's incidents.
It's interesting. You mentioned that he's going back to on-field refereeing.
That's the rumored. Yeah, that's rumored.
If he could be, couldn't it? Isn't this a case for like we need almost specialized types of referee for VAR, right? We don't need on-field referees to go and be VAR. Almost, they don't need to be able to deal with personalities and whatnot. Like deal with talking here, even cardio. They don't even need the cardio now. They can do it from the chair in the VAR room. It's almost like you just need like someone who's good on computers or something, good at analyzing physical, objects,
drawing lines.
Drawing lines. You just need someone who can do that.
Again,
it's almost like you don't need it.
VAR duty.
As an
option.
This is going back. Jury duty. VAR.
Jury duty.
Once again, VAR duty, where randomly you get summoned to take part in the VAR this weekend. And,
What if they could do that? What if they could just do? I mean, obviously it'd probably get hacked, but like you could just be at home and be like, participate. You've been, you can participate, or like
It'll
maybe
be like,
if
ask the audience on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
exactly.
You'd have to submit who your team is, so you can't be the VAR person on that. You know what I mean? Look, but they could screen all that, right? They could just draw them out of hats then, like digitally, so to speak. Just fill out a form. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, so obviously I'm not going to get chosen for their games. They probably won't select me for Tottenham either. That'd probably be the smartest thing. And
no London teams.
no London teams.
No London teams. But so I thought that was a bit of news. Yeah, just a bit of news there that he'll be leaving. So no announcement on what's going to happen in terms of VAR next season with Howard Webb now in charge of referees. So
it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Let's see. Any other news we missed here? FIFA's, I mean, I know you guys aren't fans of this, but the FIFA, Best Team of the Year award was announced today. The the FIFA Pro. So in goal we've got Courtois. Here, I'll drag this on for the stream.
Do it. I haven't seen this.
I haven't seen
this
yet.
I share this here.
I've got the stream open if you want to just pop it
okay,
on.
I'll just drag it on over my over all of us. We've got Courtois in net, Van Dijk center back, Cancelo, Hakimi either side of him, De Bruyne, Casemiro, Modric, Messi, Benzema, Haaland, Mbappe. 3-1-2-4 basically.
What? No, it's got to be 4-4-2 or 4-3-3. What are they playing at?
I don't know what they're doing, man. They stole it from Harry Maguire, man.
They wanted to fit in Benzema, Haaland, Mbappe, and Messi. Clearly, that's it.
Yeah.
Is this for the last calendar year? Like, what is this for?
I think so. It's got to be calendar year.
Like, so 2022 January to December.
I think so.
Okay. Was Casemiro that great last year for Real? And
I mean, is this the voted one? Is this voted by players?
I think this is voted by players.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's voted by players. I mean, Champions League and then decent run with Brazil, I guess, and then doing well with United.
Yeah, for sure. I
can't really think of who else.
Yeah, just what I mean, Benzema, I get he was pretty phenomenal last year in the Champions League, right? Haaland, obviously, for Dortmund. Messi
Van Dijk's an odd one, but I guess if you take his tail end of last season, it's not. That was pretty good. So. Yeah. Interesting.
Other news: we have Ashraf Hakimi being accused of sexual harassment charges, which is a tough one. Seemed like a nice guy.
Part and parcel being a footballer nowadays.
Let's just talk about this for the Liverpool fans. Darwin Núñez's first goal, the first goal of that game. First off, that Madrid-Liverpool game, despite Liverpool getting hammered, was pretty exciting. Anfield rocking 2-0 up after that Courtois mistake, and then Alisson mistake, and a Vinicius. Yeah, that first half was amazing. Núñez getting that goal was pretty nice. Very nice heel flick there. What other news? Sergio Ramos has retired from the national team. I think wasn't he already retired? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they were picking him anymore, were they?
Yeah, I don't think so. Anyways, other news. Oliver Skip had a great goal that for Tottenham against Chelsea there.
Yeah, it was. I was going to mention that when we were talking about that game. It was a good goal. He was on loan at Norwich last year or something, I think.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. He was on loan at Norwich. He's been in and around the first team last 2 seasons.
And then a Kane tap in.
Yeah, something like that. And last, before we move on from England, John Motson. We're going to talk a little about John Motson. Passed away at 77. I was kind of, I obviously I didn't grow up with him like you guys may have, or I think you have. But for me, he was the sound of my first FIFA.
Yeah.
That I mean, like that was my introduction to football.
Him and with Ali McCoist as the secondary voice.
You know,
It was
I can't
Motson
even
and
remember.
McCoist for a long time.
Yeah, it
on
was, I
on FIFA.
And I didn't even know it was
yeah.
Motson until he passed away, and I had to like kind of listen to him, you know. And that's when I looked up his video game, you know, IMDb basically, and I realized that that's him. Yeah.
Infamous with England games and cup finals, but the way it works,
match of the day,
match of the day, but the way it works in England, you know, it changed when Sky came in, but you had the British Broadcasting Corporation, so you got the BBC, ITV had their own crew, and then Sky Sports came in, and then you got Tilsley and moving
Tyler.
on from and Tyler, and like I had my favorite as a kid was actually Brian Moore. Not many people remember him. Culture will remember him.
Yeah.
I used to love the way he could bring a passage of play to life with his voice. It was just really unique. And some of my favorite commentators were actually radio guys on 5 Live. What's his name, Culture? You know the guy I'm talking about. Really old boy. He's still on there now because my dad listens to him.
Alan Partridge. I don't know. I'm just making up names.
Not Alan Partridge.
That's a guy though, right? That's a guy, right? That's
a
somebody?
TV show.
It's a character from a TV show.
Okay.
But anyway, it's just so Motson for me, like big part of the childhood, big part of the video games, and
So I've got with John Motson, there's a line that sticks in my head. So can you remember again? Sorry, Cart, it's directed at Milo. But at Christmas, you'd get like football bloopers, VHSs, and videos. Like I had a Nick Hancock one. Own goals and gaffs is a classic one.
Yeah.
I had a Nick Hancock one, and he was like, even the best get it wrong. And there's a clip of John Motson doing commentary, and the game is it's Spurs v someone, but it's being shown in black and white. And John Motson's commentary goes, for those watching in black and white, Tottenham are wearing yellow.
He was responsible for my favorite one as well, which was England v Germany. And it was England v Czech Republic in the World Cup or the Euros. I forget which one it was. And he said this exact passage of phrase. The 2 Czech Republic players substituted at half time, cunts. And he said it because Stefan Kuntz picked the ball up like right after, but it just was funny because he made it sound like he was saying it cracked me up. You could probably find that on YouTube because that is an absolute belter, that one. It was brilliant.
Yeah, nice. But bless him. He was the voice of football. Yeah, the voice of football, and his sheepskin coat.
Alan's
he was famous for his coats.
Like, Alan, give us a Motti. Give us a Motti memory, Alan. I see you in chat there.
I don't remember him. I remember I watched a little BBC interview they had done a couple of years ago, and they were talking about how back then they didn't have replays because the machines for the replays would be used by BBC for the races, right? Because you needed the replay to see who won the race. So what they had to do was, during the time when the team who just got scored on is taking the ball back to the center circle, they had to almost photographically recite how the goal was scored without any replay for the home audience. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because that just makes the commentator so much more important than sit there and watching a replay type of thing, which I thought was pretty neat. That was pretty neat. A different time.
Some of my favorite podcasts have been with commentators as well over the years, and Tilsley did a really good one on Quickly Kevin Will He Score, which is like a 90s football podcast, and that episode was just so good, like listening to his stories, but also and so many stories as well.
Yeah.
And it's all commentators in all sports, really. It's the same, they have that legendary status. It's no different in America, right? There's just legendary voices that you grew up with. Murray Walker in Formula One for me. Sid Waddell at the darts was another one, and I ended up getting drunk with him in Bolton one night. And he was telling me some amazing stories about the Sky Sports Awards and how he got pissed with Oasis. It was nice.
Who do we got? John Madden here, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth. One of my favorite ones here this is all for American football, by the way. Tony Romo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's a really good commentator. He's a very good commentator.
He's pretty new to it, obviously, after retiring from the game, right?
Yeah, and he has this thing. You can look up compilations on YouTube, but he predicts the play. Like he'll predict the play that's about to happen.
Right.
You know? He's really into it.
There's some the ones the basketball. I forget his name. I mean, there's a couple of teams for the NBA, right? But they're both so good.
Yeah, TNT has some good ones.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Quick roundup on the continent. Just a little La Liga action. Barcelona dropped points, but also Madrid did. So both league leaders dropped points to Almeria. Almeria have conceded the most goals in La Liga. They have never beaten Barcelona in their entire history, and they got a 1-0 win against Barcelona. But I mean, you know, maybe that takes a little shine away from their loss against Manchester United. But things are not looking good at Barcelona. And now Lewandowski has a hamstring injury, so he'll be out for the Super Cup El Clásicos coming up as well. Xavi's rotating his teams. Obviously, you know, under criticism, etc. And Real Madrid drew with Atletico 1-1. I don't know if you guys saw the red card in that game, but I think Angel Correa went to Rudiger and kind of elbowed him right in the chest, and Rudiger went down, you know, and very theatrically, and the ref gave Correa a card. And then, you know, people are saying, you know, Madrid gets the calls, they're paying the refs, all that stuff. I think it was an interesting call. I would have given it a red personally. I thought it was violent and kind of unnecessary, but it was given. And Sevilla lost 3-2 to Osasuna. Big win for Osasuna. These are all relegation battlers. It's very tight at the bottom of the table. Let's see, between 19th place and 9th place, just 10 points. So it's all very tight at the bottom. But Barca do have a 7-point lead atop La Liga right now. So looking comfortable for them. League title seems like almost must for Xavi to keep his job and keep the pressure off. But yeah, pretty good weekend in Spain. I don't know if anything exciting happened in Serie A. Milo, anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Took about an 18-point lead for Napoli now.
Bloody
18
hell.
points. It just keeps growing and growing. Yeah, an own goal and then a Kvaratskhelia shot saved, and Osimhen put away the rebound for 2-0 win. They did have Mario Ruiz sent off for kicking out. Bit of a David Beckham moment there whilst he was down on the floor. Just a little kick. They went to VAR and ended up sending him off. But yeah, 18 points ahead of Inter Milan in second place, who lost to Bologna this weekend. So yeah, Napoli's league just gets better and better and better. With Inter losing to Bologna, AC gained some ground on them with a 2-0 win over Atalanta. They actually played really well in that game, dominated the game, and Atalanta are not a bad team. They're 6th in the table. Teo Hernandez and Messias with another goal. They could have won that game 4 or 5-0, to be honest. They were pretty good, it has to be said. Lazio 1-0 win over struggling Sampdoria. So Lazio in 4th, Luis Alberto goal. Now, here's the interesting news from this one, and this is why I said Serie A was exciting this week, Art. You'll like this. In the last 3 weeks, a blank bullet and a severed pig's head have been delivered to the club office in Sampdoria.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So,
well, not the blank bullet. But, yeah.
Is this that the mafia aren't happy, or is it just a disgruntled fan? Like, is it a keyboard warrior like NLBMF? Do you know what I mean? Like everyone wants to know. I'd love to know, because, you know, I'd love to know how many old Italian families are like, you know, linked with their football teams. But I find that interesting. Yeah, like a blank bullet and a severed pig's head, both delivered to the club office. Yeah, Sampdoria really struggling this season. Roma Cremonese tomorrow. If Roma get a win, they'll go above their rivals Lazio. And yeah, that sort of sums up Serie A this week.
Yeah, good. I think in Germany, Hoff gave us one note. Union, Bayern was the big game, and Bayern won 3-0. Big win. Top of the table clash. Don't know a whole lot about it, but I think it was 3-0 pretty early in the game, if I remember correctly. I think didn't Zlatan score? He's the oldest. He's oldest Milan player I think to score in Serie A. After
He didn't score in the week
else.
at the weekend.
Maybe it was earlier.
Did they play midweek? Maybe
it was like something else. I don't know.
If they did, I missed that.
What else? Modric said Iniesta is the toughest opponent he's ever faced. That was pretty interesting. I don't know. Any other factoids, guys? You got?
Nothing from me.
Yeah,
No, I think Bayern aren't running away with that this year.
Yeah, no, they're not. It's tight. It's tight.
Tied with Dortmund and then Union 3 points back, and then Leipzig 4 points back. Is it Union as Hoff says, or is it Union?
It's Union.
Union for us. Union,
Hoff
I
says
guess.
Union, so I'm like, I thought maybe I was just uncultured and didn't, you know.
I mean, we also say Germany, and they say Deutschland.
True.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
I mean, that's a little different, but.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Deutschland, I think Karius is Dutch, right? No, not Dutch. German.
Karius is German. Yeah.
Is he?
Karius got a nice start. I thought he played fine. He had a big save on, I think it was
Did
Bruno.
you see his warm up?
I didn't see his
Somebody
warm up.
was behind the goal filming his warm up, and like whoever the goalie coach was, like just sort of firing balls at him, and like he was spooning them all into the net. Like it was really bizarre. Like
Get him out of
Really?
the way. That's what we say in our warm up at football.
yeah,
Like, if someone shoots and it goes really on. Yeah, like get that out before the game. Get that out
Yeah, yeah.
before the game. Yeah.
man, I just feel like that one season just destroyed every shred of his self belief.
Yeah, so
You know?
I didn't realise, but before the cup final, or to rephrase that, the cup final was Loris Karius's first competitive game of football in 2 years.
Yeah.
That is bonkers.
For Union was his last match, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
For Union.
Yeah,
Whatever it was.
Union. So
Oh, by the way, when Hoff said he couldn't make it, I messaged Michael, and Michael is at the Portland Timbers game tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, so MLS kicked off this week. LA Galaxy versus LAFC was scheduled for the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl is a 100,000 seater stadium, and they scheduled it there. And it's been postponed till July 4th. So they're going to try to make a big event of
Independence
that.
Day.
Yeah, they're going to try to make a big event of that and try to sell it out, which would be pretty cool if they could do that somehow.
Can I bring myself to watch any MLS this season? I'll think about
Yeah.
it.
why not? It's still more football, isn't it? If it's on at a good time for you.
Have you watched the Whitecaps? I'm not sure you'd agree. But sure. Let's yeah, it's football.
It's football of some sort.
If they signed, I'm just gonna whilst we're on that topic, let me just take a look at their squad, because I've not been keeping an eye on their squad at all this year. When I first moved here, they had a couple of, decent-ish players.
Union. I just posted, by the way, that's the whole voting breakdown for men's goalkeeper.
They lost their opener to Real Salt Lake. Ryan Gould.
Best player.
Who else is there?
If anybody's interested in looking at the voting for the
Russell
FIFA Pro.
Tyber is still there. Nope. I mean, who's their designated player? Like, do they even have one?
Have they still got Victor Wanyama?
No.
Who's at Montreal, I think, right? I don't
Oh,
think-
Montreal, yeah.
I think it was at Montreal.
They had
Yeah,
when I moved here, they had Nigel Rio Coca.
Yeah. Who
The
became
rules are
coach,
so
didn't
weird, man. Yeah, I honestly, I'm doing I've been off and on doing a save with Philadelphia Union, and they have designated
Philadelphia Union, you mean?
Union. Oh, of course, Union. And like, there's like all these different types of slots and international slots, and then there's international
Yeah.
designated players, and it's kind of confusing. I've been releasing a lot of players by mistake, and you can have a maximum salary cap of 100,000. It's pretty crazy. That part's pretty fascinating. 100,000 max cap.
Yeah.
Per week, in my case. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was pretty crazy. Anywho,
Their
last thing,
designated players are
Gianni
Cordova.
Infantino has says it was the best final ever of the best World Cup ever. Today he said that. At
Oh,
the FIFA
Infantino
Pro.
can just honestly, he must give himself a blowjob at night. Like he's so far up his own arse, it's unbelievable.
Marilyn Manson style.
Yeah.
Remember that rumor?
I do remember that really. Yeah.
Anyways, alrighty, guys.
Yeah, he's not a popular guy, is he? In the echelons
Gianni.
of world football.
Gianni. I don't got anything else. Oh, I let me just, real quick. Let me just see. This is the chat I started, guys. You know, you guys have been. Manchester needs to get new owners. Okay, fine, maybe. Yeah, there's talk of the Glazers now staying. Right?
Yeah, that's the bigger rumors, right? Selling part stake.
Stock price has plummeted today, you know, because of that. From Sin, if you take Rashford out of United, or if you take Rashford out, United becomes significantly weak. Yeah, and that's a test I really want to see. And I'll just say these last two games, obviously, Culture, you mentioned he is still a threat, and you know you still have to game plan for him, so that does change things. But you know, just him being on the field. But I want to see how we do if Rashford kind of runs this form kind of dries up a little bit.
I was talking to on Saturday afternoon. I did a little bit of practice for a sim race on Sunday, and I was practicing with Mr. Blackout, who some of you know. He's a big Liverpool fan, and we were discussing Rashford. We were discussing how annoying it is that United fans are all happy, first and foremost. That was the first thing we discussed. Then we went on to Rashford and just how it's like watching a different player. Even if you felt he didn't play well, like his first touch, his movement, everything just looks like a player that's enjoying playing football again. And for a long time, I thought, you know, when he first burst onto the scene, you thought, okay, this kid's going to be good, and then he seemed to drop off, and it had that sort of feel about it, Oxlade-Chamberlain style feel about it for me. But you know what I mean? Like, and then just seeing him now, like I said to you guys earlier in the chat, Hoff's not here, so he can't vomit. But I would try Rashford up front for England over Kane in the next few friendlies. I would. Southgate won't have the balls though.
Not sure. I'd play Rashford off the left. It's clearly where he plays his best football.
But we got other players that can play there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you try to model the United style, right? You have that Weghorst against Barca, right? Dropping into that 10, that could be your Kane, and then you have Rashford pushing the line.
Anything exciting?
No.
Or anything of. Like, yeah.
And Sin, I think, talking about United's honeymoon period. He says, be careful of this situation. We've had this honeymoon period has happened before with Ole and Jose. Very true.
Yeah, very true. Yeah,
very true.
It is true. Jose, what did Jose win anything with United?
He won the League Cup.
League Cup, Europa League.
Okay, yeah.
And then he said that the toughest thing he ever did was finish second with that United team.
This certainly feels different to that, but I also think part of that is because Mourinho. I think I said at the time, and I don't know if I was speaking to you guys regularly then, but I think I said at the time, like, Mourinho just didn't strike me as a United manager, you know?
Yeah.
For me personally, I was like, he's not really a fit for them, but what do I know?
Stefan. He's a Barcelona FCB at the end of his name is a Barcelona fan. Me and him go back and forth about La Liga a lot. Yeah. Carabao Cup is easier than any Copa del Rey run we've ever had. Yeah,
it is, but then the FA Cup is probably a lot more difficult than the Copa del Rey, and the Copa del Rey is the Spanish FA Cup, not the League Cup. So
yeah,
true.
Anyways, you know, I had to start. Just, you know, we're not biased here, guys. We run a clean ship. Sako, we had just finished talking about Liverpool. He'd mentioned, I had mentioned, you know, Liverpool hadn't game plan for midfield to drop significantly, but he reminded me that Tchouaméni was on their wish list until Mbappe turned down Madrid, and then Tchouaméni got picked up by Madrid instead.
It's like deja vu, right?
Massive.
they've lined up Bellingham, and he's definitely not going to move to Liverpool. So
Yeah.
if they don't have Champions League. So
Which is interesting because that would make me think that Madrid knew they were signing Tchouaméni, and maybe I think the Casemiro thing was a bit more panic. Yeah, I don't think they were like Madrid were like, okay. I think they had the intention of having Casemiro and Tchouaméni
yeah.
at the club, right? So, but we brought in such a great offer. And last but not least, okay, just for this guy, there you go. There you go. There you go. NL, if you're still around, there you go. We talked at length about this in the beginning of the show as well. All right, Milo, you want to take us off with the dad joke?
Sure.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Culture's
By the way, I did see Culture. You're in the championship with your youth squad academy,
Let's go.
I am.
which is
it's
insane. Which
very
is
well.
insane.
Not signed a single player, and I've got to the championship now. So it's a struggle in the championship, but it is probably one of the most fun saves I've ever had in Football Manager.
That's awesome, dude. Like no signings at all.
No signings whatsoever, just staff.
And are the players developing like a decent
No, they're
clip?
shocking.
They're
They
shocking,
are.
right?
They're still absolutely shocking. Because what the problem is, right, is that I've gone into so much debt as a club.
Yeah.
Because we're not set up to sell players. That we've got a really good like youth recruitment ability. We've got one of the highest in the country of youth recruitment, but our training facilities are absolutely shocking. We can't pay anyone enough to be a good coach to come. So I think in an episode I've just done, I compared our wage budget to other teams in the league. And Aston Villa have a player in the championship who earns more than my entire wage budget for the season.
Jeez.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's really tough, but it's great fun. I'm absolutely loving it. It's I mean, I wouldn't have done 64 episodes or whatever it is if I didn't love it. So yeah, really
the year
is.
30, what, 39, year 2039 or something?
37, something like that. Yeah, 38, 39, something like that. Yeah, 2037, 38.
And
So
speaking of 37, on my Parma save, I needed some midfield depth, so I bought in Cesc Fabregas
That's right.
on deadline day.
Cesc.
We've started the season in Serie A now. Culture, you were away for the first.
yeah, I was there. No, I was
Oh, you
there.
were?
I was lurking. Yeah,
So
I was there.
we're 1 draw and 3 losses so far. The fixture list wasn't kind, to be
Yeah, it
honest.
started with Juve.
We've had Juve, Fiorentina, who are flying in the table as well. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna be continuing that, but that's
Yeah,
yeah.
No,
Our F1's back next weekend, guys. Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm excited about that.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
we'll have to get our F1 in at the end now as well too.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited about
nice.
that. My F1 TV subscription is ready, so
nice.
Discord for
Nice.
any races that you don't have access to.
I have
There's
one request for the end of the show, just before the dad joke.
Sure.
Yeah.
Champ Cartwheel, can you just say "he who should not be named" one more time? His actual name.
Guys, it is the Eric Ten Hag era. The
Okay,
Eric...
that takes us to an even 10. No, that's 11 now. You just said it 11 times.
Oh no.
I
And
wanted to get you to an even 10, but you've now said it
no,
11.
no.
so it
I've
doesn't matter.
decided Manchester.
Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten
and-
Hag, Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag,
So-
Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag.
There you go, 20. You
20.
said it 20 times.
The word
20.
Manchester and Eric Ten Hag together is meth. So this makes Cartwheel a meth head.
Oh my god. And you know, it kind of makes sense right now. It kind of makes
Yeah,
sense.
that could be your dad joke.
Yeah, it could
There
be my
you
dad
go.
joke, but it isn't. Yeah.
That works for me. Yeah.
Go on then, Milo.
All right, you'll like this one, Coach. It's right up your street. This joke. Why shouldn't you trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
Oh, unbelievable. I love it.
That was good. That was good.
That's the best one. That's
That was
the
a good
best
one.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. Cheers, boys.
Thank you.
All right,
Cheers,
we'll see you
chaps.
guys.
Thanks, everyone. Oh, right. I don't know if you're putting an outro screen on, Cart, but
I put an outro
there we
screen
go.
on now. Yeah.
so my internet in the whole house has died of everything other than my PC.
Oh, this happened before.
Yeah, so if I'm streaming or I'm connected to something that needs a constant connection, it keeps it going. But like my phone's died, my wife's laptop's Wi-Fi's cut out. Like everything, even if it's plugged in by wire, has cut out if you weren't continually streaming something. Which is why I put
That's
that
so
message in
weird.
our private chat. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Like, so my wife was like, "Oh, my Wi-Fi's died, so I'm going to go to the gym." I was like, "Oh, my podcast is still fine." And then I checked my phone, there was no connection. My work laptop's got no connection. Like, so bizarre. But anyway, yeah, I need to go and reset my router and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Good fun. Good show.
Why that happened. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks
And
for
I ended up
joining.
being moderator at the beginning. So.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Well,
FM back next week, guys. Hopefully.
Okay.
hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, deadline day.
Oh yeah, we got deadline day.
Deadline day.
No money.
Who have you gone after, Golkit? Are you comfortable telling? I don't need a goalie. So I'm not
You
gonna-
got
I don't
okay.
tell them.
It's really nobody. I don't have much of a budget. It's Arsenal. You know what? I should really go for a good goalkeeper.
Who'd you go
Yeah,
for? Matt
you should.
Turner?
No, I went for some 19-year-old from Arsenal that I'm like fixated on only going for people I've scouted. But I should just go for someone who I just know is a decent backup.
Yeah.
Why don't you get Matt Turner on loan?
Yeah, maybe Matt Turner will go. I just didn't have him scouted. So that's the thing. I've been looking at scouted players. I just need to go look at someone's second, you know.
So I just went, I want a goalkeeper, Livakovic, thanks. That's
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
was scouting.
I think I need to do that more.
And I went,
then I got
I want a
Seth
goalkeeper. I'll have Joe Hart.
You got Joe Hart for a couple
I
of
tried to
years.
get-
my backup. Yeah.
I tried to get Carius. Didn't work
Oh,
out.
you
Work
did?
permit.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a work permit.